the biggest economy. They are the biggest user of energy. Within 3 years, they will completely dwarf us, not only overtake us, and China and India and 100 plus other, it's over 160, third world and developing world nations have zero environmental standards, zero carbon taxes, and then tax incentives for our businesses to move there. Of course, the country's going into cardiac arrest. Of course, all the new state and federal taxes are causing the economy to go into cardiac arrest even faster. This is all a consolidation operation. So all these people in the media that wrap themselves in the American flag and say that if you're against wars, that if you're against invasions, that if you're against all of this tyranny, all of these individuals that are out there promoting this, they know full well what they're doing. They know full well what they are a part of. And then they always sell you on naked body scanners and checkpoints and surveillance cameras and face scanning and license plate reading cameras on their fighting al-Qaeda. But then you discover al-Qaeda is their creation to destabilize, whether it's southern Serbia or whether it's Pakistan or Afghanistan. It's a divide and conquer mode. And you discover that almost all of the training that goes on, I'd say over 95% of it or more, is not for fighting turbaned men from Central Asia or the Middle East. The entire architecture of this is designed and publicly admitted to be for the American people. And there's a giant, illegal, covert intelligence operation now going public, because they've completed it, of threat fusion centers, federalizing police with the CIA in control of the bases, merging local police with the military. This is all happening now. So let's go over some of this latest propaganda. They've destroyed our industry. They're coming in with the carbon taxes. They're federalizing everything. And then they tell you that China is supplanting the United States when it's the globalist. And the Council on Foreign Relations, just search the term CFR.org, the Chinese century. And they brag with pleasure in countless C-SPAN productions in the last decade. Before that, they were having secret meetings, and the CFR was almost completely secret. Now they're out in the open saying that this was part of their plan to where we're totally dependent on China, who is authoritarian and has enslaved their people, and who is a eugenic state carrying out forced abortions, infanticide, one-child policies, and mass drugging of their water supplies, just as our water supplies are drugged. They are on the globalist team. They work with the bankers. And now they're giving the public the narrative of why we're collapsing, blaming it on the communist Chinese when they're only a large engine in the larger structure. They're just one of the larger cogs in all of this. Pentagon warning over Chinese military buildup, French news agency. China is extending its military advantage over Taiwan and increasingly looking beyond, building up a force with power to strike in Asia as far afield as the U.S. territory of Guam, the Pentagon said. Well, yeah, now they menace U.S. shores on the east and west coast, Atlantic and Pacific, with their nuke subs. In an annual report to Congress, the U.S. Defense Department said Monday that China was ramping up investment in an array of areas, including nuclear weapons, long-range missiles, submarines, aircraft carriers, and cyber warfare. Oh, but the government will take over the free internet and shut down free speech and get rid of net neutrality to protect us from the communist Chinese they created. And I remember old-timers writing about this, Anthony Sutton, who worked for Congress, and others, that in 49, Mao Zedong had been put in power and that Chiang Kai-shek had been double-crossed by the CIA. And then years later, I saw the CIA section chief in an interview from 1949 bragging that they put Mao in, and David Rockefeller's now written books about it, bragging how they put Mao Zedong into power, who killed conservatively 64 million people. The Chinese government says 80-plus million. The balance of cross-strait military forces continues to shift in the mainland's favor. The report said, the Pentagon said, China's buildup on the Taiwan Strait has continued unabated despite improving political and commercial relations since the island elected Beijing-friendly President Mei Ying-jeou in 2008. What happened in 2000? what deal was made and never stopped by Reagan or Bush Sr., giving them the Panama Canal. This is all part of a sellout.
We all know that Berkey water purification systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 5 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey water filtration systems. The Berkey Light systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light system today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $209, and the Berkey Guy will include 3 sport Berkey water bottles and ship everything to you free of charge. That's right, 3 sport Berkey water bottles and free shipping. An $87 value, yours free. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at goberkey.com. That's goberkey.com today.
Again, the Congressional Budget Office sounds the alarm. This time warns of Greek-style U.S. debt crises. You heard me right. The GAO is drawing a parallel between the U.S. economy, its debt, and the current Greek economic meltdown. With the debt-to-GDP chart climbing into unfamiliar territory, the growing budget deficit will rise to unsupportable levels. Hi, this is Ted Anderson. The Federal Debt and Risk of Financial Crises document the CBO has published is a must-read for every American, covering the risk of continued deficit spending coupled with an aging population and the rising interest rates spell economic disaster. It's imperative that you get a copy of this document and study it for yourself. Call me today at 800-686-2237 and I'll send you a free copy. Again, call 800-686-2237 and ask for your copy of the CBO document. Once again, you need to read this government report. Call 800-686-2237.
You may be arrested and or subject to other police action.
Tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship. Body scanners, sound cannons, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Is your debt problem a ticking time bomb? Thanks to a new financial consumer relief program designed in response to the economic crisis facing millions of Americans, you don't have to wait until it's too late to defuse your debt. If you owe $10,000 or more in credit card bills and are struggling to make minimum payments, get ready to take down this number for free information that could potentially save your home, the lifestyle you're accustomed to, and your family's financial well-being. But don't wait. Studies show that if most debt problems are confronted directly, beneficial settlements, manageable monthly payments, and quick restoration of credit are more easily attained, potentially saving you thousands of dollars in interest charges, fees, and unpaid debt. Don't procrastinate. Call now for your free information and begin putting your economic house in order today. To qualify for this program, you must have $10,000 in credit card debt. Call the American Debt Associates at 800-876-2966. 800-876-2966. Again, 800-876-2966.
I want to quantify what's happening very simply. Globalism is where mega corporations come in, buy off your federal and local governments, and have the laws changed to give them unfair traded balance so they can consolidate control over every industry. Then they move into the police state phase, knowing that those populations are going to resist them. This is in the IMF and World Bank documents that linked in 2002. And, of course, the John Perkins, economic hitman, he wrote about it. Many others have exposed it. Then they come in with a police state, which they also privatize, so they make profits off of oppressing you. It's a extremely Machiavellian program of control. It's pure genius. But only a dumbed-down public can be defeated by this system. If you're aware of it and how illegitimate it is and cut through the propaganda and stand up and say no, their system will fail. But because it's always covert and they always deny to your face what they're admittedly doing, it's hard to defeat when you've got a television head, couch potato population that doesn't see themselves in the role of freedom fighters. And if you go back to China 150 years ago, it was taken over by Western powers and divided into more than 10 different units. In some cases, there were more than 15 regions, generally about 11, controlled by different European powers, including the United States. The United States had a sector of China that it controlled and exploited. And so the United States, as we know it, doesn't exist. It's been absorbed by the North American Union system and the Transatlantic Treaty of 2007 with the EU under its rules. And under these new rules, the Bill of Rights and Constitution and the Congress itself has become ceremonial. They're nothing but managers and errand boys that carry out these larger operations. And so as this program of consolidation accelerates, they will continue to play nationalist tensions to get more defense funding in the name of countering China that they have built up. But they gave China the Panama Canal. They relinquished many areas of Africa to China. They've relinquished many areas of Asia to China. They have allowed China to build up high-tech weapon systems. They've given China these systems, and China is now the new model of the New World Order. So the United States is just a exploitation ground by the globalists, just like China is. The American people are going into an authoritarian system. Our old free society is being phased out. We are more and more becoming an unfree nation, just like China has been under tyranny for centuries. Mexico is under tyranny. Europe is sinking into tyranny. What is the EU? A bunch of unelected bureaucrats paid off by major corporations looting their population. It's the same global cabal, a global corporate governance system that has removed checks and balances and is setting up high-tech surveillance and oppression grids and private mercenary systems to oppress what's left of free humanity. And so the United States, while it's been funding the global empire, has been getting the blame for the crimes of the globalist. And now as we enter the final phase, the United States is being fully bankrupt and hung out to dry, and Maurice Strong and Kofi Annan and all these globalists are moving to China as their new command base. And so we see the Pentagon now hyping all of these threats, saying, oh, there's a warning over Chinese military. China's military power is growing, AP reports, and challenging them. Washington Times, China targeting U.S. troops with arms buildup. Pentagon cites anti-access missiles in report that they're aggressively building up military forces to strike U.S. forces in the Western Pacific and elsewhere. As part of the Pentagon calls an array of high-tech anti-access missiles, submarines, and warplanes in its latest annual report. So again, we're all looking at this as a U.S. versus China situation when it's the globalist above our nations playing us off against each other and profiting off the enslavement in both areas. Here's another one. Reuters. China, U.S. playing risky game on the high seas. The game of military bluff that China and the United States are playing off the Chinese coast could erupt in full-fledged crisis, hitting the arteries of global trade if the Pentagon worries about missteps ever to come. China has been investing big slices of its growing wealth. We buy DVD players and television sets and toys and furniture and linens and everything else, and they buy weapons. And they produce it in their own country, so they have an industry. And if you're going to have a war economy, it should at least help your own nation. But notice, we don't get to have that here. China has been investing in big slices of its growing wealth in modernizing its military and turning its once cranky Navy into a blue water fleet that can project power far from its shores with nuclear subs and aircraft carriers. We'll be right back.